and I have to apologize. I am so sorry this has taken me so long to do a follow-up to my last video. You know, holidays are here and people in our house were getting sick, and I had something for a bit. It wasn't COVID, but it was a very bad cold with everything going on, and I didn't have the energy. So I really do apologize. I really do apologize. I tried to get a bit more consistent this year, but like I said, life happens. So let's all just take a drink. And enjoy the holidays. But I decided to do a follow-up to the Revolver box set. Talk about some of the bonus stuff, the session stuff, the notes from Kevin Hollett, and just some final thoughts on it. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the set. I like the new mix. Like I said in my last video, I think that Giles could have just taken a bit more chances with the mix. But I enjoy it. I enjoy it. The session stuff I do like. There's not quite a lot on here, but I don't think that there may have been that many outtakes. I know that there was a lot of alternate. They did a number of alternate mixes, and some of those wound up in the public, actually. But other than that, I mean, Tomorrow Never Knows, take one. We heard a version of it on Anthology 2, but I've stated in several videos before, a lot of the stuff on Anthology 2 they weren't the actual undoctored session tapes. The alternate mix, the remix 11 of Tomorrow Never Knows, I really like that. It's an alternate mix, and I think that was the one that ended up getting out there on a few Canadian pressings. I know that there were some pressings that went out that had this alternate version, this alternate mix of Tomorrow Never Knows. First version of Got to Get You Into My Life, I liked finally hearing that without the fade that Anthology 2 adds. The other two versions of Got to Get You Into My Life, I really like those. I really like the backing vocals that George and John added. Kind of wish they kept that. Even with the brass and saxes, I kind of wish they kept that. I like the rehearsals of Love You Too, and I like hearing Paul try and do the alternate harmony on it. Actual Speed of Rain, very good. I know there's a friend of mine kind of got, he and I kind of got into a bit of a friendly back and forth with, but that's not the actual speed. I'm like, it is the actual speed when you hear Paul count it off at the beginning. That's Paul in his natural voice. The backing track of Paperback Writer, that was okay. I thought that was going to be an alternate mix, actually. I am happy that we get the complete take 7 of Dr. Robert. For any of you Beatles US album fanatics, you know the original release of Yesterday and Today. As the song fades out, Dr. Robert, once the final notes play, you hear John say, okay, something like that. Well, now you kind of know what he says. So I like that. To me, the revelation of the session stuff is the 2 songwriting work tapes of Yellow Submarine. And that much I really do like. Because as the news came out, we found out that the melody in the initial lyric came from John. And you hear that on the first songwriting work tape. In the place where I was born, No one cared, no one cared, something like that. And on Songwriting Work Tape 2, you see John and Paul both co-writing the song together. In fact, Paul tells John to sing it in that work tape because it's like, you know the melody, you should sing it. So I wonder how Paul felt about that, this sort of, I thought of the song because, it was a song that I thought Ringo could sing and all of that stuff. So Kevin Hollis notes, I'm glad he brought up the bass guitar controversy on She Said, She Said, because on take 10, you clearly hear Paul in the studio with his bass chatting and talking to everybody. But he does go and bring up at some point, Paul did leave the session, and like the back half of the track, the bass is done by an organ. But you clearly hear him on the tape laughing and joking like everything was okay. What actually happened, I don't know, but we know what was talked about in the Get Back series. Overall, I like the set. I like Kevin Hollis' notes. He's sort of the new Mark Lewison, sort of took over where Mark Lewison had left off and doing similar work to Lewison without any other issues that came up at one point. Go look it up. It's not Lewison's fault. It's touchy on Beatles' side. That's my opinion. But Kevin Hollis, his notes are great. He puts to bed a lot of myths, like on the White Album, Martha, My Dear, being entirely done by Paul, when in fact he said that the guitar was George and the drums are Ringo, and the session photographs show that. And there's some notes on the other sets that I scratch my head over, like on Abbey Road. It's his notes say Paul did all of the vocals on The End, but I swear on the final Oz on The End, I swear that's John doing the middle harmony. I swear it's John. So sometimes I'm like, I'm not too sure about his notes here, but at the same time, I am sure about the notes when I see his session details and I read everything underneath, and you hear the session tapes as well. They tell an entirely different story. So I think the Beatles recording session needs an update done by Kevin Hollis. If there is a disappointment I have in the overall set, and this isn't a fault of Giles Martin, he did the mix. He gave the files to Apple and Universal Music Group, and they decide from that point on what they want to do. No Blu-ray audio with the Dolby Atmos mix of it, or the 5.1. Yes, I know they're trying to gear everybody to go to Apple Music and other places for the spatial audio, and that's all fine and dandy, and trust me, I take advantage of it. You have your AirPods, which are able to do it. I'd like to get the AirPods Max at some point, but but at the end of the day, I still like it physical, and I would like a Dolby Atmos mix to play on my Atmos system that is not, on a streaming service where I have to use my AirPods to do it, There are new spatial audio mixes coming out every week. I was excited when I went to Apple Music yesterday. Traffic's Low Spark of the High Heeled Boys now has an Atmos mix with spatial audio that you can play on Apple Music, and the title track of the song just blows me away, especially Jimmy Gordon's drums on that song. But we're talking about the Beatles here, not Traffic. If I do a video on Traffic, I will talk about that. But yes, it would have been nice. I don't know why UMG and the Beatles company Apple decided to not include a Blu-ray audio, other than to keep the cost down. That's one thing I heard. Cost was a factor. I mean, I don't know why cost wasn't a factor in the other ones, but I guess cost was a factor in this one. And maybe they couldn't get the Blu-ray audio discs manufactured in time. You know, again, people are still catching up from the COVID lockdowns in 2020. So that might be an instance right there. But in this interview I heard with Giles from the Fab Four Free-for-All people, Mitchell Axelrod, shout out to him, and is that he said that Apple Corps and UMG have heard the complaints. So he's hoping they will do a Blu-ray audio disc, pure audio that UMG puts out there. So that's my final thoughts here. I thought I went as in depth as I could, so I apologize. But overall, I like the set. I'm liking the new mix now. I prefer the CD edition of it. That's my overall thoughts. I like the set, but I will say there was no event-like quality with the promotion of it. The way there was Sgt. Pepper, the White Album, Abbey Road, Let It Be. There was no, like, hype the way there was for those. It was just kind of, here's your Revolver box, which might explain why it's going down in the charts as much as it is. I hope they do a Rubber Soul next. I hope that we get the complete version of 12 Bar Original. I hope we do get the original Christmas recording that they attempted to do and then they eventually scrapped, that had some very bizarre skits about babies and stuff like that. You know, who knows if that will be out there. I know people are, but at least you could find that on YouTube. I know Beatle fans are still waiting for Carnival of Light, and that still hasn't seen the day. I don't know how I feel about that one. Maybe it's best to keep it in the vault where it belongs. But those are my thoughts. And again, I apologize. It's taken me so long. I'm going to start, doing, try doing it again weekly, what I've been listening to and what I've been watching for the week, like I started doing for a while there. In addition to, this stuff. If you follow me for my Beatles stuff, I mean, stick around for some of my film stuff, because I like to talk about film and movies. There's a lot of other people on YouTube who talk about that as well. My channels come, I've always have been trying to figure out what to do with my channel ever since I began this thing in 2014. But I like to talk about everything that I love, including the Beatles. So if if you have an interest in film, I will occasionally do the 4K UHD release review, and don't get too many hits on those. And but I like to talk about the stuff I've been listening to and the music I've been listening to and the movies I've been watching. So if you like that, please stick around in the new year, and I really appreciate everybody being patient with me, and thank you all so much for everybody who sticks with me, and I try and comment, and thank you all for, being in the small cult following on YouTube that I have, and I love you guys, okay? Talk to you soon.